Hey folks, this is Matt once again, coming at you with. I would have put this on an update, but the update would have been just 3 minutes or less than a minute. Probably one of the last things I'm going to buy for at least a couple months. I mean, granted, there's stuff I would like The Nest with Shout Factory and stuff like that, but just budget's very tight. So, but hey, if it's gotta be one, it's gotta be Prison. Now, Prison is a film from 1988, and watching this again, I can say, once again, I'm a big fan of this movie. I think this is a very solid film. This is from Scream Factory. It's a Blu-ray DVD combo pack. Horror has a new home. Now, this is alright, although I don't know why Viggo Mortensen, he looks like the son of the guy from Eraserhead. Even though that's kind of what he looks like in the film, but I don't know why. I mean, that's just me. To be honest, I much prefer uh, just the old school one. But that's just my personal preference. But this film came out in 1988. And it's from, Irwin Yablon's the producer. He produced Halloween and stuff. He helped come up with the idea behind the film. And I think the original idea behind the film was a slasher film in a prison. And then they're like, well, wait a minute. Why would prisoners be afraid of a guy with a knife? I mean, they have shivs and shit like that. Why the fuck would they be afraid? So, make it supernatural. And Uri Bond saw this guy, a film he had done overseas called Born American. I believe it's called Born American, directed by Renny Harlin. And this was pretty much Renny Harlin's first American film. Now, around I think the same year, you had Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. And yeah, it was called Born American. I believe starring Mike Norris, which I haven't seen that one. But Ray Harlan came over. This was his first film, and unfortunately, the film, when it came out, didn't do much because this was made for Empire Pictures. I know Charlie Band was one of the producers, and Empire Pictures kind of got fucked over. Kind of went belly up. And then I think the VHS rights went to New World, and then they went under. So that's why for the longest time, this film was not on DVD. It was never released on DVD, except bootlegs. Maybe overseas it was on DVD, but in the US, no, unless you had bootlegs. Which was a shame. And thankfully, Scream Factory released this. Now, again, you have the interchangeable covers. Either look like this or this. And it's nice because both of them actually have different backs too. Like different backs here as well as here. Even the disc themselves, it's a Blu-ray DVD combo pack. Both of them have all the features. And I like the artwork they have on there too. And the features are great. Some people say the features are not much because it's a commentary of Renny Harlin and it's a documentary. But I would say this is better than the Funhouse Blu-ray DVD and some of those others because the documentary is really good. It's 38 minutes long. And granted, you don't have Viggo Mortensen, which I'm not surprised by, but you do have Renny Harlin, Irwin Yablans, screenwriter C. Courtney Joyner, stunt coordinator Kane Hodder, executive producer Charlie Band, composer Richard Band, production designer Philip Duffin, production assistant Patrick Denver, and others. And this is a really 38-minute documentary. Again, that is on both the Blu-ray and the DVD. So, and I can understand it because they release these combo packs because they know some people have Blu-ray, some people have DVD. So you pick one up and you can choose. You can watch the DVD, and then if there's a time down the road that you get a Blu-ray, you'll have that as well. So I'm fine with that. And pretty much costs, I don't know, 20, maybe 25 bucks. But getting to the film itself, yeah, Renny Harlin, this was his first American film, and like I said, he also did Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master, which came out the same year, and that was a big hit. And then Renny Harlin I enjoy as a director. Elm Street 4 when I use my intro, when I have the time limit for, that music is from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. It's one of my favorite Elm Street films. Then I think Elm Street 4 helped him. I believe Fox went for him for Alien 3 first, which kind of makes sense now, because what was Alien 3 when Renny Harlin was there? They wanted prisoners in space. So they like, wow, Elm Street 4 was a hit, and he did a film called Prison, so let's have him work on a film with prisoners. But Renny Harlin is kind of interesting. He talks about, he mentions working on Alien 3, and how tough it is to make prisoners likable. And I like that little bit of business he talks about, which, again, that makes a lot of sense. But then that didn't work out, so he got Die Hard 2, Adventures of Ford Fairlane, and then Die Hard 2. And then after that, I love Cliffhanger, Mindhunters I really enjoy. Renny Harlin, Long Kiss Goodnight I like. Renny Harlin is a favorite director of mine. Like, if Renny Harlin directed an Expendables film or directed Die Hard again, I'd be more than happy to it. Like, Renny Harlin is one of those directors. I haven't seen every single one of his films, but I enjoy. Now, I know I haven't gotten to the plot, but the plot is fairly straightforward. It's this prison's opened up again. The warden's played by Lane Smith. May he rest in peace. Lane Smith, if you look this guy up, you've seen him and stuff. I remember him as the dad and the son-in-law. He was also in The Distinguished Gentleman. He was on the TV show Lois and Clark. He's been in a lot of stuff, Lane Smith. And he does a really great job. He's definitely an evil, sadistic warden. He's a guy you love to hate in the film. Plays a good bad warden. I think he's up there with the guy in the Shawshank Redemption. He does a good job, Lane Smith. And like I said, this prison's been reopened, and I think they actually shot in a real old state prison in like Wyoming or something like that. So it's a perfect location, and Renny Harlin used the location very well. It's a very well shot film. I think it's pretty damn atmospheric. I think this shows what you can do. I like this cover, so I'll use it. This shows that you can do a lot with a low budget. They use the location well, and then you have the inmates. Your lead is Viggo Mortensen. And Viggo Mortensen does a great job. I mean, he would, of course, go on to be Lord of the Rings, stuff like that. But Viggo Mortensen, like, okay, he's a prisoner, but he's likable. He's a strong, silent type. You find out that he was just a car thief. He does the right thing. For example, some prisoners are going to get hurt. Without thinking of it, he goes in and saves one. Another scene later on, a guard is stepping on a prisoner's hand, and Viggo Mortensen's telling the guy to back off because it's not right. So it shows that the guy has character. The guy, he's a badass, but at the same time, he has a good heart to him. So you really care for Viggo Mortensen's character. And you have a couple other characters. You have one guy who's a little bit religious. You have one guy who, him and this guy tried to steal this prison bus at the beginning. He has these glasses. The character's name is Rabbit. He has these glasses. It's Tom Everett. And really enough, he'd work with Viggo Mortensen again in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Tom Everett was the guy who was, I think he was the pervert sort of gas station attendant. He plays a character named Rabbit with glasses. You have an Italian guy whose nickname is Lasagna. I thought he had a good personality. Plus, he's a Rambo fan because he has a Rambo 2 poster. Which, really enough, Renny Harlin would work with Stallone in Cliffhanger. And Renny Harlin mentions that in the commentary. The commentary isn't the greatest, but I never thought Renny Harlin's commentary were the greatest. But it's worth one listen, I guess. But the documentary is pretty good, too. Damn good, in my opinion. Deep Blue Sea, that's another Renny Harlin film I really enjoy. But you have other characters. You have Tiny Lister Jr., who was in Friday, who was in The President, Fifth Element. You have this older character who has been in prison for the longest time. You have this guy with a beard who's a real creep, who you get the idea, but they don't go much with it, which is thankful. Just the intent is good enough that he has this new boy toy. And the guy with the beard, he was actually, you find out in the documentary, he was a real prisoner that they got to be an actor, and he played it well. He has a fun moment where he's trying to fuck with Viggo Mortensen because took Viggo Mortensen's ball. So Viggo Mortensen grabs the guy's balls and says, "You give me my ball back, I'll give you yours." So again, I like Viggo Mortensen. And the film itself is really well done, and everything pretty much hits the fan where Viggo Mortensen and this guy are ordered to knock down this wall into this execution chamber, and shit gets fucked up. I mean, Viggo Mortensen is getting sucked into the hole. There's fires, which makes me think of what he did, Renny Harlin did in Elm Street 4. Explosions. The score I liked by Richard Band and Christopher L. Stone. They mention in the documentary and also in the commentary, when they mention that, I noticed it more. You get James Cameron, his film Aliens, Renny Harlin was a big fan of. So, and certain elements of the score you notice are kind of like elements in the Alien score. So, like when all those explosions, like when the windows explode in that scene, you get a steam. That's like the steam from Aliens. And even in certain parts of the score, if you listen real closely, you can kind of, it's not a ripoff, but you hear elements of the score from Aliens, kind of his homage to Aliens, and I liked that, being a big fan of that score. But it's also its own score as well. It's not just a ripoff or anything. But the prison is shot well. A lot of the people they use in the background were real prisoners. Viggo Mortensen does a really good job. All the actors do a good job, except for, I would say, the weak link is Chelsea Field. She's this woman who is trying to see that all the prisoners are treated fairly. Chelsea Field, she was Bruce Willis's wife in Last Boy Scout. She was Tila, I think that was character's name, one of the allies for He-Man and Masters Universe. I thought she was kind of the weak actor, or I should say actress of the group. She kind of came off a little bit too bitchy, or she was off in her acting. I didn't really care too much about her character. I mean, granted, she wasn't as annoying as others, but out of the group, I thought she was the weakest. But he had some good ideas, imagination. For instance, these people who put in solitary, one, the spirit heats the room, and like his shoes are melting, the guy catches on fire, and one person tries to escape, and these pipes come in and like grab him, and yeah, they're just crushing him. And later on, he falls through the floor in the kitchen, and it's bloody goop of gore and well done makeup effects and just blood and buckets of gore. And of course, the best scene is a guard getting with the barbed wire, gets this barbed wire attached to him, and closes in, pulls the guard up through the roof and into the room where the warden's at. And then you get a little bit of interesting backstory where you find out certain ideas that maybe Viggo Mortensen, his character, is the son of this spirit. And that this spirit's doing it because Lane Smith and this older guy, played by Lincoln Kilpatrick, that they said something about this guy. They said, oh, he killed this person, but he didn't. Lane Smith's warden character did. And this person was executed, and he was innocent, and that's why he's doing all this. So, of course, Lane Smith gets his comeuppance at the end. But yeah, throughout the film, the warden's sadistic, thinking, okay, who's doing this? Because he doesn't want to believe it's a spirit. He thinks it's an inmate that did, so they make them burn all their mattresses. When shit hits the fan, you got computers exploding, prison doors exploding, a hole gets blown through a prisoner by this light. And I like these old school effects. I know they can kind of look cheesy, but to me they have a charm to them. It really does. That, in my personal opinion, CGI doesn't really capture that much. But even like simple stuff like lights going under the floor kind of reminds me of what they did in Steve King's It, where the lights under the floor. I like that little bit of business. So sometimes the more subtle stuff works a lot better, in my personal opinion. And even the weapons on the guard towers, they fire. Um, but either way, I enjoyed the performances. I thought it is a hard thing to get, prisoners that you like, but I thought they had certain personality to them, especially Viggo Mortensen, that worked better than, say, Alien 3. I thought the atmosphere worked well. The story was fine. Yeah, it's cliche, but it's a low-budget film. I mean, I can forgive it for that. I'm not a big fan of Chelsea Fields as an actress, but I thought the other actors did well. It was an atmospheric film, and I thought Renny Harlin did a good job, and it's well worth a look.